Yep. A lot of crazy stuff has happened lately, so let's talk about it here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. That's Coop. I'm Jay. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to while you're here. Please wipe your feet, like, subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. So, on today's episode of the Sooner or Later Sports Show, it's a little grim, but you know, things will be all right. We're going to talk about Zac Alley just bounced out. That was just announced. We'll also talk about Lewis Carter hitting the portal. We'll wrap things up talking about the Armed Force Bowl, like get Coop's thoughts, and also clear up, what we think is next in the Brent Venables era. Yeah, life has been a little bit on the wild side for every single one of us. So, Coop, happy Sunday, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Spent Friday, Saturday, and this morning out at the land camping with some buddies, and man, I was a little unplugged for the most part, and which was good because it's kind of like coming home to see what the kids did after 3 days of me just being gone, and you find the house a little bit in a mess, and you look at Mama Bear and you say, hey, you did your best. I understand. And you just get cleaning. So that's kind of what we have to do here.
Yeah, I got the warm and fuzzies from getting home. I know the kids missed you. The wife definitely missed you. I missed you. Couldn't really text back and forth with you because I didn't want to interrupt the time for you to disconnect. It's always good to do that. I did that for a couple of days before Christmas. I plan on doing it here after the new year for a couple of days as we kind of, just ride into the playoffs or whatnot. And so, it's been a challenging 48 hours for Sooner fans, and I'm not going to sugarcoat any of it. The game itself was atrociously bad and embarrassing. I talked about it in my morning after, but the one thing I wanted to also point out that I pointed out there, played a whole bunch of freshmen on offense. You kind of expect it to not really go that good. And it was the end of an era as the new era with this guy. You're going to buckle up begins now. It's all on him, play calling, installing his entire offense, bringing in the new players. So Jan 1, it should be a completely new look. But we've got to talk about the first thing that hit the wire, though, Coop. The one that, threw everybody off. This guy bounced. Zac Alley is now the defensive coordinator at West Virginia. He did have a 3-year deal that was asked here in the comments section. He had a 3-year deal here, making roughly about $900K. We were looking at doing a contract extension. Negotiations were happening. All the insiders reported it. We had finalized things supposedly, or they were finalizing things over the next couple of days, and I guess his agent got him a much better deal at West Virginia. I'm hearing between 1.6 and 1.8. He's got the assistant head coach title, the defensive coordinator. He literally has full autonomy because it's all him, nobody else. So my initial emotion behind it was I was shocked. Thought it was pretty wild that he bounced after 1 year. Did not see that coming. While at the same time, I'm not surprised that a guy would like the opportunity to truly run his own defense, especially when everybody basically says this is Brent Venables' defense and he's just doing it. So not shocked. Kind of sucks that he, it sounds like, players aren't very happy. He told them that he was sticking around and that. I don't believe he took less money. I think he took around the same. It may have been quote unquote technically less, but the 1.6, 1.8 is what he got. We may have offered 2 and he decided to stick to that, but the power is probably the more lucrative piece of it. So Coop, what's your thoughts? Zac Alley bounced out from Oklahoma.
I mean, like you said, this year is one that I'm glad that we are in a wrap. It's over. That's pretty much it. Of course, we keep on saying this is pretty much it, right? No more, punches in the junk or, and slaps
No.
across the face. And then it just keeps on. There's something else and something else. And just the world we live in. There's a lot of people doing a lot of different things right now, prepping for, the revenue share piece. People are kind of wild about staying, nobody wants to become the next Stanford.
Right.
Nobody wants to see that. So, same thing with me, man. It's all the people that I was talking to, it never was getting put to bed, but it is never felt like he was going to be leaving. And
Agreed.
then it happened. But I understand, I do understand because it's the same situation of, getting out of, an older brother's shadow or getting out of somebody else's shadow, somebody that you're in, because as long as he was here with Brent Venables, people were still going to say, this is Zac Alley's defense, and that's kind of nobody really believed that.
Right.
So he gets a chance to go make a name for himself, and he was here for 11 months. So I mean, he wasn't even here for an entire year. Does it suck that you have to go out and do some more stuff kind of later in the season? It does. It really does. There's nothing good about that. But I do say this is, this is still Brent Venables' defense.
Yeah.
This defense was what gave us an opportunity this entire year, and we'll touch on the bowl game here in a minute, but it's just one of those situations where it was about the practices and about the game reps and about getting some congruency amongst the offensive line receivers. You get to see Carry-On and Kearney looked pretty good, but the Alley thing is just. Yeah, it's not good, and and right now, if you want an answer for what it's going to look like, are they going to go internal, or are they going to go after somebody big, are they going to have to do some shuffling around? I'm guessing that these conversations are probably going on for the next couple of days before we find out anything solid, because they're going to kick some trees on some other defensive coordinators. But he was here. He like I said, this defense was the strong point of this team, and this defense sat out there for so long, just knowing that they were the only unit that was going to, be able to do anything and put up a good unit on the field. So, you can't say that it's not a big deal or it's nothing. But I also don't think it's like a catastrophe.
Yeah, I don't think the world has come to an end in this one. It sucks for BV. He hasn't had the best luck this year, but to me it's going to be okay. I'll say this, and this is kind of Stevie G made this point. I've been talking to a few people about this. Who's committed to Oklahoma from the Zac Alley pipeline as far as recruits?
That would be nobody, sir.
Exactly. So it's nothing against him. It's just he hadn't closed anything yet. He had a few players he was looking at, a few people he was talking to. It never came to fruition. And so for us, the big thing now is we got to get the linebacker coach that can go out there and get some recruits done. I tweeted this out. I wasn't joking when I said it. When it comes to going to the defensive coordinator and what we probably should do, I pointed out that you probably should find a way to get Brandon Hall and Todd Bates to take it. That's your two co's. Keep it internal and let Brent Venables continue to run it, the defense as he has. They've been doing fine together. Promote James Skalski, who is your assistant linebacker coach and analyst. Bring him up. Clemson kid. He did well. Players like him. I've heard players talk about how much they enjoyed him at linebacker and coaching them since he's gotten here, 2 years ago? A year ago? I think a year or two ago. 1 or 2. They've enjoyed him, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
At this point, you may as well go with that. I like that idea. The linebackers love him. And the linebackers did really good this year. We'll talk about the departure in a minute, but the key thing here to me is good luck, Zac Alley. Hopefully you figure it out there in West Virginia or whatnot. I mean, we can't understate that you did contribute to the defense moving from 11th in efficiency to 7th. Raw numbers from the 50s overall to in the 30s or 20s. Moving up in rush defense, we saw that the linebackers played better and they looked like they knew where they were supposed to go. So he did a lot of help, but at the same time, there's also another year with those linebackers in the system. So I don't know if you can say that he's the causality behind it. We can do the correlation causality type piece here, but he did contribute. So we're not going to pretend like he didn't. If anything, though, we now need to find ourselves. We need somebody that's going to recruit.
Yes,
And I mean recruit. Like Skalski, he's going to have to show us some chops immediately. Like transfer portal today, he needs to go ahead and put in something there. He's going to, if he gets the promotion, which we'll probably find out in the next 48 hours. I don't think that we won't, but I think this was a blindside to them. So Coop, besides that, DC, we'll do hot board. We'll do big boards probably midweek unless somebody gets hired before then. But what do you think? I'm thinking internal. What do you think?
I mean, unless there's somebody that BV knows and likes that he wants to take a run at. I know there's been some names tied to his Clemson days. Right. There's the Spavital, name has been kind of thrown out there too. Somebody who was grad assistant here. You said it right. It's just got to be recruiting at this point. Like, you're going to walk into a very talented defense and a lot of guys who want to do this again and see what their contributions look like next year with complementary football. And so, they're gonna kick some tires, but this is late. I think that the domino effect of the coaching moves won't be done until probably mid-January. It's just going to continue to happen just across college football. So there's always going to be somebody who's looking for something else. And but yeah, if you make a quick decision, you're kind of stuck with it. So we'll see what happens. The coaching staff searches the past couple of years have not been very easy, have not been very quick. And to be honest with you, outside of Arbuckle, who I can even argue against my own self, nobody's really liked it. Nobody's liked, a lot of decisions that have been made. Now, I was a big Arbuckle. I wanted him. So, but yeah, let's get it on and go after it. I think it will probably internal, but don't be surprised if somebody gets some coaching staffs move. Somebody else becomes an opportunity here in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I can see that. And I know, it mentioned in here, my guy Sean mentioned Teddy. Teddy ain't taking the job. I don't think Teddy has any interest in coaching, mainly because the commitment is absurd. And yeah, he enjoys what he's doing. Him and Gabe are doing a great job. Same thing with Gabe. People wonder about Gabe coming in and coaching, and Gabe said it before. No, I'm good. I enjoy, right? I enjoy doing what I'm doing here, but I wanted to give y'all some kind of context as far as what we look like defensively as far as the change has happened. So total defense in 23, we were 79th in the country. Total defense. Your passing defense was 112th. Your rushing defense was 44th. And your points per game, 23 points, was 48th in the country. That was in 2023. This past season, we moved in total defense to 19th in the country and only giving up 318, which is 19th in the country. You go to pass defense, we were at 44, which is at 203, which goes up from 112th. You moved up on the rush defense from 44th to 23rd. Points per game, 44th to 30th. So that's an improvement. That's why I cannot be pissed off, besides the fact of the shock factor behind this, that there was improvement. It's exactly what you want. And like you said, Coop, this defense was really kind of carrying this team because the offense was not competent. You have a competent offense, those numbers go up because it takes the other team off the field.
Exactly. And I think that a lot of the angst about this really comes from the fact that there are still coaches on the offensive side of the ball that a lot of people want to see gone. And so it's like the ones that you want to see gone are not leaving. and the one that you didn't ever expect bounces out. So especially with the conversations we had about does he give it the old loyalty discount for Brent Venables, because that's his mentor,
dude. Right.
and that's his people. So and I think I said it the other day is I know that they tried to keep him,
Right.
and but when you throw a bunch of the coaching titles and stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff that in the offensive coordinator search. And now with this situation where you can't just give someone a title. This isn't like corporate America where you can just create a new title and just give it to them. Like, everybody's going to know that that's, BS. So he got more privilege, and he has more, more authority going to West Virginia. And like I said, this is a chance for him to show that, I can do this on my own, and I can do this at a bigger program than, a Jacksonville State. And I can just go and, ride out. Listen, it's the Big 12 is going to be up for grabs again. And I think that there's West Virginia is a team who wants to play good defense and wants to have a great running game. And so if that's what Rich Rod wants to put together, I mean, Zac Alley's a good opportunity for you to get a young guy. Now, can he recruit there? So, but it's about the recruiting stuff. And he's unfortunately, I don't know if his elevator pitch in Holmes is going to be very strong. No matter what happened at OU with defense, a lot of people are just going to see that 6 and 7 and go, well, how good were you? And right. It's going to be tough for him. He's going to have to develop some clout pretty quickly on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, he's got some work to do on that one, and it's those numbers I spit off as far as improvements. And like I said, efficiency went from 11th to 7th in defensive efficiency overall. That it usually excludes all of the garbage time yards. Saw an improvement. So, but yeah, let's talk about portal, because we're gonna have to do that. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. Hit that like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate us, review us, give us 5. Lee Bird, shout out to you. Thank you for the $4.99. Glad he's going to let school record 95-yard touchdowns happen elsewhere. Yeah, there was a lot of young players on the field on that one, and when I rewatched it, I'm like, dang, there's two people that should have gotten that one and unfortunately missed it. But one of them, though, unfortunately, is this young gentleman right here. Lewis Carter has hit plans to enter the transfer portal. The linebacker out of Tampa, Florida, one of the players that Brent Venables raved about coming in. It's one of the players that he felt like his top dudes. He thought he was the best player in the state of Florida when he got him. But there was actually rumors that Lewis Carter was looking at hitting the portal last year. Because I think the rumor was that it seemed like he was a little homesick. Tampa Catholic. He was a top 200 player in consensus and composite. And coincidentally, he hit the portal at the same time as, Zac Alley coming. I don't believe it was Zac Alley induced. Let me be honest. I think that he had been kind of thinking about it for a bit, and he just went ahead and went down. What you think? I know that's your boy. That's the Crimson Missile. That's the one that you beloved, Coop. How you feel about it?
I mean, I just think back at the Tennessee game, and I think it was the last play that Tennessee decided to run their actual offense. They threw, I think it was on a 3rd down, they threw a little swing route out, and Lewis Carter just absolutely destroyed them. And you see stuff like that, and you're like, I'm so excited. This guy just plays with reckless abandon. But then, like you said, you go back, we watch that Navy game, and one of the guys that, took the bad angle and, went to the wrong gap was him. He's a young kid with great potential, and he still needs to be coached up. This one, I hate this one more than I hated any other of the losses this year. This is my least favorite one, and it's just because I really want to see this. This kid have success. This linebacker room, that's one of the things that we said, that's why we've been kind of light on the recruiting trail, is because it was so deep. And, it's hard in this day and age to ask a top-notch linebacker to come in and know that there's an All-American right in front of you, and then another guy who's, owns the state of Alabama, and in this defense, linebacker is extremely important. So this is not good because you've got 2 years in coaching for him, and now you need to start it over. So
Yeah.
it sucks. I don't like it.
Me either. It hurts even more with Deshaun McCullough also being hitting the portal and going to Nebraska. I would have loved to have kept Deshaun, but at the same time, I understand why Deshaun hit the portal. He wanted an opportunity to play more. You've got Kobe, you got Kip, you've also got Samuel Mosigo. Those three have really emerged. You still have, Jaron Kanek. I know everybody aren't the biggest fans of Jaron, but I think Kanek's going to get some of this stuff figured out in time. We hope that enough film happens and Stutzman helps him get it going, but if anything, Kip, Kobe, and Samuel Mosigo are your main linebackers. You still got Nesta. You've got Taylor Heim. And Taylor Wine kind of plays a little bit of outside linebacker / like edge or jack. You still got him. Then you're bringing in Marcus James, which was, that was a Venables pickup / Ted Roof back when we got Xavier Robinson and all of the Carl Albert kids. So you've got a few linebackers that you're going to go through, and that, like you said, the depth chart there is pretty deep.
Yeah,
that's the one thing I'm not concerned about. We just got to go into the portal, which we have heard. Mm-hmm. I know that there's been a lot of linebackers they follow. There's one that I'm really hoping that we figure out and put our foot in the gas for is that Oklahoma State kid, Kendall Daniels. Yeah, my brother-in-law is his cousin. And so I've been trying to get some information out of him in hopes that we can get him to stay in the state. So hopefully my people will come through and talk and give me the information I need. But keeping it real, though, Coop, that is one person I would love for us to get our hands on because he'd be a great mixture between linebacker and even be another cheetah to go with Omasigo and Reggie Powers III.
Yeah, and this is just the world that we're in right now. I mean, we are all about it when we go and tamper with someone, or it looks like Oklahoma went and tampered with someone, and then we ended up pulling it off. But like, the thing is I mean, like a lot of these guys, they're on an NIL scale, and they get a certain amount, and they may, he may have gotten a little bit of a raise, going into the next year because when he's played pretty well. But, I mean, there's always somebody from another school throwing some words out there and saying, hey, I think we're around 100K a year if you're interested. And so now it's collectives talking to agents or handlers or whatever nomenclature you want to use right there. But sometimes, I mean, you just can't submit to every single one of the demands. You can't have some of these guys coming back again for another year and giving them raises to keep them from going to the NFL and then give every single person on the team a raise. That's just not how stuff works. And so it's just like I said, I don't like it. It's not good. I do think that we go in, find a linebacker type of talent, and we don't have. I mean, we have Marcus James, and who else is just legit linebacker coming in this next class? That's him? That's it, right?
Yeah, Marcus James is your linebacker that's coming in for this class, and he's coming as a quote-unquote athlete. But at 6'3", 220, I'm satisfied. The kid looks legitimately that size. Like, I've been to Carl Albert games. My son goes there. So all the football games I went to, every time I see him, I'm like, dude, that's a huge human being. I think he's a little bit bigger than 6'3", but I digress. That's who you get coming in.
So, I mean, you're going to need to – and it may not be something that happens right now because this person may have to come in and understand that maybe it's a guy who's played 1 year or he's got a couple guys out in front of him and he's not going to have the opportunity and see in the spring. But, we've got this portal section and then also in the spring. Now, if it's in the spring, it can't come from the SEC. So keep that in mind. But I think everything will change, with the revenue sharing coming, not too far down the line. And a lot of people are trying to get their chessboard set up right now, or getting ready for that. And, if you got somebody who's willing to listen to you, you might as well shoot your shot, and somebody shot their shot, and that's, and so now that's where, Carter's going to end up going somewhere. The timing with Alley, committing, there's that, there's ties to the Florida area, and like you said, with the homesickness and wanting just to be closer to home, some people it's more of a family scenario to be closer to your home, and some of these kids, they've never been that far away, across the country. So we'll move on. Stoop said no one player is bigger than the program,
Right.
and that's not one of the major concerns on the roster this year, or this coming year. So you still got a couple of jobs to do before this current portal area shuts down.
Yeah, that is true. And we got some time. We'll today's the last day for portal entries. So by the end of the night, all of that'll be done. And the only entries after today will be all playoff teams. I don't think that extended to bowl teams. I think it only extended to playoff teams being able to hit the portal and having the 5-day window after your game. So you'll see it. You'll see more people hit the portal. I promise you that. Just so keep your eyes open for more names, and there's going to be some good ones at the P4 level that people are going to really go after, because a lot of kids decide to go ahead and fulfill the last of their obligations, finish the game, and then boom, to make the decision of getting up out. So I sense that. All right, Coop, may as well start talking about it. Everybody's asking the question about who the next DC going to be. There's a lot of questions out there. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit that like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe. If you're listening to the audio version, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. Coop, so first off, I think that James Skalski is going to be the linebacker coach. Only made sense. That was the first thing I tweeted out yesterday. I was like, yeah, go ahead and give it to James. Move him up. And if I'm thinking DC's, Brandon Hall has about 7 years of experience calling plays, and he knows this defense. Ty Bates as well. Ty Bates has experience in this defense because he's been with Brent Venables forever.
Yeah.
You have that. I don't know. Jay Valai, I know that he has aspirations for being a defensive coordinator, but all of the smoke right now is that he is going to be leaving the team potentially. I haven't seen anything official, but I've literally seen it floating around X all day, and I'm like, okay, why haven't I seen anything written anywhere? So probably go check out where all your insiders, right? Go check out, like OU Insider 247. Somebody's probably got something on that, but I haven't seen anything. Another name that keeps being brought up is Wes Goodwin, the DC over at Clemson. If I'm looking at this, first off, I'm thinking internal. Give me the internal dudes. I'm good on going for an external guy because we've seen progress every year. Now with this guy here, Ben Arbuckle, and the number one player and quarterback in the transfer portal coming here, who accounted for 3,900 yards by himself, you're going to have a competent offense. And you keep a high-level defense to go with that, I think you're fine. Because I went through and looked at it, Coop, and we're going to talk about next season at the end. I went and looked at it. In comparisons with our quarterback room and everybody else, we look solid. So what do you think about DC? Who do you think is going to have it?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I like Skalski. If you're not familiar with Skalski at the start here at the linebacker core, Skalski was like the linebacker version of Drake Stoops when he was at Clemson. He was the yeoman's workhorse, guy who just overachieved. He was super, super intelligent. His technique, his knowledge of the defense, that's what made him really good. It wasn't the overwhelming athletic ability. So that's a guy who knows how to coach, coach the X's and the O's, and he's going to ask for that. It's hard sometimes when, let's say that you bring on, and that it's never even an option, but let's say that, you have a Rufus Alexander or a Teddy Lehman to come coach the linebackers. Like guys like that who are extremely physically gifted, sometimes it's hard for them to coach everybody because they don't know how to talk to somebody who isn't as athletically gifted as they are. So that's why you get a lot of these offensive coordinators who were, guys who were, offensive linemen or H-backs or fullbacks. You get a lot of those guys because it's got to be about the technique, and you got to kind of understand the whys behind everything. And it's not just go out talent everything. So I like Skalski at the linebacker. If that's what happens, I'd be okay with that. Brandon Hall, that's kind of my hope would be if you do it internally, that's where you go. Do you take a swing at another safeties coach from somewhere else? At that point, I'm not sure, but if you are internal, I think that Wes is a good option. For external, and if we hear smoke around that, I'd get excited behind that. Outside of that, I mean, it's going to be if it's external, it's going to be somebody with a connection to the program or to Brent Venables already. And I know that a lot of people in here are already going, oh my God, I don't know if I want another X sooner. I'd rather just have somebody come in and just do it right, because I agree with this sentiment, Jay, and this could be dead wrong of me to say this, but in the world of this type of college football atmosphere right now, you need somebody who just wants to go win and wants to be the best at their position coaching when it comes to that. It doesn't have to be loyalty to the university, because loyalty to the university is a thing that I think sadly is starting to go away. Because with the transfer portal, nobody's going to stick around, and I've seen a lot of things on the social medias, where people are talking about, who are you going to reach back into as a fan base, because when guys go to the NFL, they don't really make it, and they come back, they go to where either they grew up or somewhere around the college they played in, and you get into some kind of business around there, and a lot of people do business for you because what you did out on the field. Well, if you're a cat who's been on 5 different teams, Monday Night Football comes around and you're, naming your college, I mean, are they just going to start listing Eric Cooper, Boston College, Oklahoma Christian University, Tulsa, and then Oklahoma State? Are you going to say that, all these different colleges because you went to 4 different colleges in 5 years? So, I don't think that you really have to go with the internal program piece. I just want somebody who's going to be able to be a good defensive coordinator, who is going to be able to communicate with people and drive people and get people to do what they're supposed to do. And we'll worry about the loyalty thing down the road.
Yeah, that's one of the big problems is the loyalty conversation, with how much more difficult people are saying that recruiting is. It's really tough for you to be able to go after that. And so to me, it's you want a dude that's going to want to be here for at least a couple of years. And in the beginning, I always believed that BV had 5 years, and I honestly believe he's probably still going to get his 5. I don't think that next year is worse. I think we're going to be better next season, because if the defense maintains the exact same level that it's at and your offense shows competency, and we'll talk about that after we talk about the bowl game, you'll be fine. For me, I don't know how I feel about Goodwin coming. I mean, even though he is a Venables protege, defense over there at Clemson, with all the talent that they brought in, didn't look very good. They didn't look very good. I think you're on mute, Coop.
It wasn't terrific. I mean,
yeah,
you're right about that.
Yeah, that's kind of a questionable one there. So from there, makes me think about if you don't convince Hall to do it, or Todd Bates to move up. If you go external, you probably want to look at a few names. I think, and I've seen a couple lists go out. I'd say there's probably 3 names I'd look at. One, Zach Arnett. He would come in as linebacker coach as well over there he literally just took the job at UNLV earlier this month. That's something I would consider. He runs a similar defense as BV. He can own it, and they were fun to watch when he was at Mississippi State. Unfortunately for him, he was with Leach, and then, unfortunately when Leach passed away, he took over the job. But he's known for being a really good recruiter too, getting some really good linebackers, and Mississippi State's had some. So that's one option. One of my boys, parents, Reggie Powers Jr., RP3's pops, he's in the chat. Thanks for pulling up. He mentioned to me Brian Brown, Mississippi's co-defensive coordinator and DB coach. Now, granted, that would mean we would need to have a DB coach opening before we would do that. So we have to see if Jay Valai, if he doesn't get the DC job, does he decide to go somewhere else to get a DC job? I know he's been aspiring to do that. But I'd say, Brian Brown would definitely be an intriguing option. He's younger, 41 years old. And he's worked from Appalachian State to Louisville to Cincinnati. He's had some moving around. And that's one that intrigues me. And then John Heacock. That's the one I've had someone talk to me about not too long ago. The Iowa State legend that has put together really the one that architected 3-3-5 and has seen the most success out of it. Bring O-Head in and see, how that will work here in the SEC. That's always a possibility. But to be honest, all else fails, Brent Venables needs to go ahead and do it. Yeah. Just be the DC. Do like Josh Heupel's doing now. Josh Heupel is the OC and he's head coach. I mean, he's got somebody. You got Joey Halsey as name, but we know who's calling the plays.
Yeah,
he is. BV, do that, but you need to make sure that on the offensive side, you're very comfortable with Arbuckle and them handling it that way, to where when you need to interject as head coach with time management and stuff, you can pay attention to offense. But then defense, you need to make sure that whomever's going to assist you can pay attention to the little additional details. Yeah. But I think that BV could possibly do it today as well. Do that as well. Am I crazy?
No, I mean, I think that he does need somebody to help him out on game day. Again, it's there's a lot of people who are out, in here, out there saying it's time just to fire Brent Venables. It's never going to happen. That's not going to happen right now. So if that's something that you're clinging on to pearls about, I mean, just move on. It ain't going to happen. But I think that Brent Venables, if he does decide to do that, I don't know how. Does it work? Yes. Is it a good look? I don't think so. Just because I think right now with the offensive coordinator hire and now this defensive coordinator hire, I mean, you kind of have to stop taking the egg on the face. And I think it'll look a little bad if, someone who's been criticized by, the fan base as not being able to run the program all of a sudden, makes defensive coordinator his main focus again. So I struggle with that part unless there's somebody that just, I know that we have one of our buddies who says bring back Bob Stoops, and I don't think Bob Stoops is ever going to even consider that. But if there is somebody that can help with a lot of the game management, is that a conversation that Rosenberg's having? The NFL guy from the Eagles, who's kind of taken over for Curtis Lofton's day-to-day. Somebody needs to get that in there because Brent still needs help with, the fine, pieces of being the head coach. And, here's what I don't want. I don't want us playing last game of the season next year and a bad decision be the difference between, the Cotton Bowl some bowl and the playoff. Yeah. And so I want to of all the multiple distractions and things that, got in the way this year, we deserve a year to where, it's not that's not the case.
Yeah. No, that's kind of the key thing. You want to make sure that you're running everything properly and you want somebody there to help.
Yeah.
That's going to be the key thing. So yeah, for me, you got to have somebody the good thing is with your analyst, they can be active on the sidelines now. So to me, go grab yourself a former head coach and hire them on as an analyst. Do the Nick Saban School of Rehabilitation. Probably should do more of that. We're not doing enough of that, in my personal opinion.
And And the argument of, would somebody come here with Brent Venables potentially, getting fired next year? I mean, that's what the same argument was made for the offensive coordinator. If you come here and you do your job well and Brent Venables gets fired, you're getting another job somewhere else.
Yep.
That's not going to bother people because those commas and those zeros, that'll bring someone here.
Yep. Yeah, we have that. That's the key thing, is that we're going to have to pay well to bring in the next DC if we do go external, which I kind of expect at this point. We haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything from Brandon Hall or, actually haven't seen anything really from the school at this point. So we'll see what it looks like. All right. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review, give us 5. Coop. Yeah. Bowl game. Ooh, buddy. So did you get to watch? How much did you get to actually watch while he was out there in the streets?
Well, we watched the whole thing. We just watched it delayed. But I watched it again once I got back. So usually, by the time we start talking about the game, I've watched it at least 3 times. Listen, you come out with a good plan. Things are looking really, really good. Then you start turning the ball over on downs multiple times. And I think that when I was looking at the play-by-play, that's what it was, is, we weren't turning the ball over. It wasn't a ton, but I personally count turnover on downs as a turnover.
Yeah, me too.
Same thing as a fumbled snap. Somebody gets the ball right there, momentum, energy, all that shifts. Young guys look good. It looked like, if you look at the numbers, you're wondering why you didn't run the ball more, because it looked like Salchuk was, he was doing decent. I want to say that he averaged
5.8 yards per carry.
Yeah, I was going to say 5.7, 5.8 yards a carry. X-Rob, we didn't see as much of him, so that was a little confusing. This was another game to where you go out there and the offensive line, they still have work to do, but they got out there and you ran the ball early, and then it seems like maybe they just hit cruise control, and you never want to lose these games. But this is a lose-lose type of a game. That's why sometimes in some of these bowl games where it would mean much more for one side than the other, things like this happen. There's a lot of games out there that I've seen scores on that I'm just like, I don't understand how that happened.
Right.
But again, this was more about the practices. This was more about getting Arbuckle some nice game film, see it in person, see what's going on, hear the stuff. He gets to experience Michael Hawkins, to know what he has as a backup there. Gets to have conversations with Bill Beatonbow, about the game, kind of what I saw, what did you see, Bill, type of situation. So this was all in preparation of next year. I really don't care that I wanted us to win the game just because of the losing record situation, but I really don't care. If we won this game, are we feeling better right now? Because I'm guessing that Lewis Carter's probably still gone. Zac Alley's probably still gone. We're still having private meetings with boosters and all this stuff like that. And you're still looking for a DC. So it's, kind of in the same boat. And, it's not like I was going to go brag to my friends that we ended 7-6 instead of 6-7. There's not a brag there. So we have had such this has been not good for a lot of different reasons. 2 years in a row, or I guess two of 3 years. I understand the tension and the frustration with people, as you should go out there and just kick the crap out of them. That should have happened.
Right.
It didn't.
Yeah, no, and for me it was, you play a bunch of young players. You'd figure out who's ready to try to make an impact or not. Carry-On looks like he's about ready. He did a really good job of blocking. He had some moments where he did whiff, and that usually comes with age. But he did 7 catches, 72 yards. And you mentioned with Salchuk, 13 carries, 67 yards, 5.2 yards a carry, and a touchdown. So early it looked like it, but again, those downs, yeah, lose the fourth down, you go forward, 4th and 1, and you don't get it with X-Rob. that hurts. That bites you right in the butt in the end. That's what gets you, right? 3rd and 10, you get the completion to carry on, get you 9 yards, and then X-Rob can't get that 1 yard. That's the piece. That's critical, right? You got to be able to convert on those 4th downs if you're going to go for them. I mean, we did it twice, didn't get it, and then we finally gave up a touchdown afterwards, but the offense did stall. But again, we have a new guy that's doing that. So you want to ask for change, this is the change. 2 weeks, you're not installing an entire offense to be able to do that. But you did see concepts of Arbuckle, the more successful plays, which if you do them over and over, of course, teams are ready for them. But those sprint out passes, oh my goodness, they were they actually was pretty good in execution, especially the one when Hawkins was able to reverse field, hit Kearney for the 58-yarder, and he broke a tackle, skipped up the sideline for the touchdown. You could tell that was part of Arbuckle's arsenal. He did a lot of that with John Mateer. And so that told me, we did get a little bit of Ben Arbuckle in there. And just wish you could have got more, especially with the young players, to get them acclimated to this new offense. It'd been nice. I wish you could have done that with more freshmen, but 2 to 3 weeks ain't enough time to really get that type of stuff installed. But, pass blocking, the offensive line did really good. Yeah. They had their moments. That 56-yard touchdown where Waywu got caught with his hands in his pockets, and then his hand went into the cookie jar. They got him for holding. That sucked. Yeah. That kind of sucked the life out of what the O was doing. But I got to ask you this, though, the final play. Going forward for 2 to win the game instead of tying it up with the extra point. How'd you feel about
it? I feel like this is one of those situations where it's like, 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. Yep. All right, you go for 2. It's not about the call. It's about just our capability to depend on our offense when it all matters. And that was the wrap up for the whole season. Our offense could not do it when it mattered. But I kind of feel the same way. When you go to overtime, you essentially are just basically saying, all right, offense, here's 25 yards, go score. Yep. And I just feel like if we can't get the 2 yards, like why does anybody think that we were going to go into overtime and keep it up and going? Or who's to say that we don't miss the extra point and then people go, why did you go for 2? So, in the wise words of Cam Newton, hindsight's 50-50. And
my favorite statement.
And so it's just like you want to just go ahead and make your splash. Hey, this is who we are. We're going to go for 2. And I feel like we've always been on the other end of this, over the past several years, to where it's another team going for 2 to beat us at the end of the game. And we've usually came up with a stop. So I don't like the play call. I don't like just handing everything to the offense, the whole entire game to the offense on one play. On defense, I'd be okay with it. But, that offense just, you can't think that they walked out there and felt really, really good about it when they were heading out.
Yeah, no, I agree. You could tell it didn't feel too good about it as well. And that's the part that I thought the play was, I thought the decision to go for it was great. I didn't like the play call. I would say go for it 100% of the time. A lot of people are like, oh no, with the young players you got and as inconsistent as they've been, why would you do that? I ain't going to argue with you because I don't think you're wrong. I would have gone for it every time though. I think that you should be physical enough to be able to push your way in. To me, I'm handing that ball to Xavier Robinson and say, dude, just go run through him. Figure it out. Run a triple, run an option. Something different. But I would have gone straight down the middle and tried to get X-Rob and see if we could just push our way in. That's what I would have done. I would have done 2-back set, put Tatum, X-Rob back there, and I would have handed that bad boy off. That's me. Or if you're going to pass it, I would have done a sprint out pass and had Michael Hawkins on the move. I wouldn't have had him in the pocket because when I rewatched the play, the minute that he got the hike and I saw the route run, you saw Zion Ragins, and it looked like they jammed him at the line. And him and Carry-On crossed. If you look to that left corner, it's a hole, and that's where the receiver was going. If Hawkins didn't turn his head this way to look at the defender coming at him and try to figure out how to maneuver, if he would have pulled a Dylan Gabriel and kind of ducked down and then jumped up and threw it, he was literally in the exact same spot as in that Texas game. Exact same spot. And technically, Michael Hawkins wouldn't need to do a jump pass. He's tall enough. But that was where the ball could have went because no one was there. It was literally the wide receiver could have caught it over the shoulder, boom, touchdown, game over. That was the thing that got me. Was that why I wish he would have thrown it. Because overall, Michael Hawkins, to me, played very good football. I did not like as many design runs for him.
Yeah.
I prefer him sprinting out, throwing it, or I prefer him scrambling for his runs. I don't want design runs with Michael Hawkins right now. And I only say that because he ended up fumbling in the game. And that's what's been happening all season. It's just been happening. So since that's that fire that I would not have played with, that was my biggest critique of Joe John Finley's offensive play calling. I would have had Michael Hawkins only run it if he's scrambling in a pass play, a scramble drill. I wouldn't have run no design run plays with him at all.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you didn't pick up the fourth down, with X-Rob running up the middle. So at that point, you're just throwing out your best hope. And I mean, it's literally Joe John Finley's last play as a play caller at Oklahoma. And it was yet again something that a lot of people are going to critique. So when it all comes down to it, I just saw who said it in here. Basically that, you can't get 1 yard, against a service academy. Like it's frustrating. It's just the perfect end to the season. I mean, that last play call, just everything about it is
encapsulates the whole year.
The entire game encapsulates the whole year. You start out really, really well. But listen, guys, we wanted to see Zion Kearney and Carry-On to actually show up and ball out. They led the team in receptions. Those guys did that. I saw Mike Boganowski, Sr., he took a clip of one of the Mike Evans touchdowns from Baker, who freaking cooked today. But he threw it up, and Mike Evans just reached up. He was bigger, stronger, and taller, and had stronger hands than the defensive back. And I think it was Baker's first touchdown. And Mike called it out. He said, "Hey, this is my vision for Ivan Carry-On next year, is let him be the bigger person involved in the play." And I think that if you can teach that to him, you get yourself a stud. Now, he is a first-year player. He is going to go through strength and conditioning, and he is going to get coached up this year. And so again, for all those saying that we're going to go 5-7 and 6-6 and again next year, and then just keep on going, like, guys, we got the tools. Like, you've got guys who can do this, and with a competent offensive coordinator and a quarterback who has shown that he's good. He's really, really good. He's dynamic. You look across college football, there's a lot of guys come from smaller schools that have actually balled out. And but yeah, Sean, you're dead right. We never did it once. Just throw it up for Carry-On. And
let the Giants go and catch it. Right.
It's it's the same thing with like any of the deep shots that we took. Did you guys know this? So this is a fun fact.
Fun facts. I like fun facts.
The three. I'm showing number 2 as I'm saying 3. So
I saying 2 and 3.
That.
It's 1, 3, 5.
The 3 longest pass plays this year. Can you name them real quick, Jay?
Oh,
what's the longest one?
Longest was what, 90?
So that was the Hester. That was the busted play. Hester. He rolls out and he just chucks it deep. Hester grabs it. He goes right. Boom. The second longest reception this year was let's see here.
Was it Hester again? The 60-yard?
No, that one was the Zion Kearney. That catch 2 days ago.
That was 58 yards. So that one would be third.
It says okay, hold on a second. Nope, you're right.
Because Hester had a 60-yarder against, was that the LSU game? Yeah, it was LSU. Because 50 was against Auburn. Hester caught the 50-yard against Auburn, 60-yard against LSU, 90-yarder against Maine. So, yeah, that's your 3.
Talking about, the big touchdown passes. It looks like
touchdowns. My bad. Yes.
There was just never any type of congruity on offense to where, like, the bombs were just – it was a called play. The Brendan Thompson one is the only one that – of the long touchdown passes this year, is the only one to where it was like that was just what happened. That was the play that was ran, and that was the one that Jackson Arnold checked out of. We was supposed to be a quarterback draw, and he checked out of it. So, where I'm going with this is this offense was an absolute just an abomination from top to bottom, and I think that the best thing in the world for this team is to put this year behind them and just to move forward. And like you said, with this game just looking like a microcosm of this entire season, you get up, you're doing the things that you're supposed to do, and then all of a sudden the offense just shows up for an absolute just bleep show for 3 quarters, and then literally you're 14 points at the end of the game driving to try to tie the game against Navy in a bowl game. Again, a lot of young kids. You're still playing guys who were the number 1 and number 2 guys for the first time. You didn't have any of your big dogs. So going into next year, these guys better just hit the film room. From this point on, it is lift and study. And I think the Arbuckle is going to help this team out, and this offense is going to be much better next year.
Yeah, me too. And I know there's a lot of naysayers in here that don't feel like the offense is going to be any different or whatnot. No, it will. That's the one thing I can promise you. You've got Ben Arbuckle coming in. You've got the number 1 quarterback out of the portal coming in to also play here. It's gonna look different next season. So it's perfect segue into that. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5. A lot of you are pointing in here. Fire Brent Venables. Cool. I'm glad that you all feel that. It's not going to happen. It's not. The defense has improved every single year. They're not going to fire him because of that. Whoops. We'll lose my AirPod just now. They're not going to fire him because of that. That is the one reason why he will not get fired, is because the defense has improved year over year over year. Now he has to prove that he can have a good hire on the offensive side, in which Lebby actually gave us a top 5 offense while we were rebuilding the defense. Now he's got to show that he can put it all together. So they're going to give him next season. My assumption, Coop, is I'm thinking 8 to 9 games is going to be required in order to keep his job. And this is why I say that. As my AirPod fell to the ground, let me pick it up real quick. Let's point this out to you, Coop. Actually, you know what? Let me pull up the schedule. I'm going to pull up the schedule, and I'm going to pull up the teams. And I want you all in the chat, and I want y'all to tell me. I want y'all to be like, I know a lot of you are haters right now. I totally get being haters. I am just be upset. You have the right to be as a fan. Not going to discourage you from that. But let's look at this, Coop. This is the schedule. I am looking at every offense that we're playing this year. How many of these teams' quarterback would you take over John Mateer, who has produced, listen to me, 3,900 yards of offense by himself and 44 touchdowns? And let me give you some great reference to that real quick, because a lot of you are going to say, oh, he did that at Washington State. You are 100% right. You know who else walked into the SEC from the Big 12 and was kind of okay, but put up kind of similar numbers? Jayden Daniels. He won a Heisman at LSU. Led his team 10-4, 9-3. Walked in and did that. Went from 8-5 at Arizona State out of the pack. Went to LSU, produced 2,900 yards, 800 yards rushing. Then he won the Heisman on 3,800 passing yards and 1,100 rushing. I'm just reminding you all that. That is what happened. Jayden Daniels was able to do it. I'm not saying John Mateer is going to walk in and get the Heisman. I'm going to tell you that John Mateer is going to be able to replicate his numbers because Cam Ward did it as soon as he went to Miami. But I digress. Looking at this schedule, Coop, whose quarterback would you take over ours?
Well, I mean, just saying, as of what over John Mateer and what I've seen out of John Mateer.
Yes, based upon what you've seen out of John Mateer. Who's quarterback in here? Because a few of these teams have pulled quarterbacks from other conferences too. Whose quarterback would you take over ours?
I say there's potentially two names in here. Number one is Nussmeier. That would be, and at this point, I still feel like that's a bit of a toss-up, because Nussmeier's doing that with another great set of, LSU receivers. And then maybe Milroe, but I mean, Milroe would drive Oklahoma fans crazy too. There were a lot of people who got really, really, really frustrated with Jalen Hurts.
By the way, Milroe's going to be going to the draft. I don't expect him to come back next season, but yes.
So, I mean, just going down, Michigan's going to have a new guy. I don't care about Temple. Jackson Arnold at Auburn. Arch Manning, again, now it's your turn. I'm guessing. And now it's your turn to shine. We haven't seen anything yet. So, I mean, he looked good when he's come in. But Mateer has put together, an elite. I mean, he was the number one quarterback.
Quarterback for a reason, right?
And accounted for 41 touchdowns. Look, you guys just watched Oklahoma against a bunch of nobodies early in the season. We would put up 14 points against Houston.
Yeah.
So I mean, you still got to play the team, and you still got to do the right thing, and you still got to show out. And we couldn't do it against Navy. We couldn't do it against Temple. Temple.
We did Temple.
We didn't really. Our defense gave us the ball 6 times, and in short field positions, and so the offense wasn't asked to do a lot. When the offense was asked to go a long way against Temple, it didn't look great. But I'm just saying you just didn't do it against a bunch of lower tier teams this year. So the argument's kind of flawed there. So at this point, I'm saying Nussmeier is probably the only one on this schedule that I feel 100% confident in saying I'd rather have Nussmeier, or it'd be in the discussion instead of John Mateer.
As of right now, it appears that the only quarterback on this list that has thrown for over 3,000 yards would be Nussmeier and John Mateer. They're the both that actually have the numbers showing that they've thrown for over 3,000 yards. We'll probably get that Lenore Sellers. He's one that's going to be convincing. Got to keep that. You've got Nico Iamaleava, in which Nico did not throw for 3,000 this year, which that's a little bit. Actually, it's not surprising. I'm going to be honest. That didn't shock me at all. Alabama's got a new quarterback. Missouri just picked up the quarterback from Penn State, so he's new. Let me see. Nussmeier, I'd say possibly Arch.
Yeah.
I think that's really the only two that I would take. Real quick, Virgil Walker, thank you so much for the $10. We appreciate it. You guys have been keeping a close watch on everything. Thanks. I've been watching my brother on the left, his right, since he started. I'm a big fan right now. Sooner football is a dumpster fire. You're right. I'm not going to argue against any of you by saying it because all you have said it. There's nothing to argue. You're right. But at the same time, the defense wasn't a dumpster fire. Defense gave up some stuff, but the defense wasn't an overall dumpster fire. Competent offense keeps the ball and prevents a lot of the defensive mistakes because they're not on the field constantly. Because usually what we've seen the defense fall apart is late in the game. And they did against Navy. They fell apart late. Not early, but late. But I'm looking at this, though. I'm seriously looking at this, Coop. I am staring at this one. I would not take Lenore Sellers over Mateer. Ole Miss has Austin Simmons, which I like, but he's young. I got to go through everybody's depth chart, which I'm going to do that. I plan on putting together a video after the first of the year on early looks of next season. Bama, I don't know who their quarterback's going to be because Miro's gone. They don't have Julian Sand anymore. I'm not sure who else is behind there. Eli Holstein left, and he's killing it up there at Pitt. Missouri just picked up the quarterback from Penn State. You say who?
I think Simpson is the other Alabama quarterback.
Yeah, Ty Simpson. Yeah, they hate him. Alabama for
now
whatever
they
reasons.
got the freshman coming in, but again, that's a tough call to bring a freshman in to compete and put your team at the top of the standings as a freshman.
Yeah, especially the way that their schedule's set up. Nico, I don't think I'd take Nico over Mateer. Nico has had. Let's go pull up Nico's statistics real quick, because I'm trying to think of how many games did Nico have where he threw for over 200 yards this season? I'm going to go to his game sheet real quick. Let's go. Game log for Nico Yamaleavin, which I think he's going to be really good long term. He had 4 games. Oh, see, that was let me see. Okay, that's Duke's first start the season. Let's see, you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games all season he threw for over 200 yards. 5. And one of those includes University of Tennessee Chattanooga.
Yeah.
In a system that's very friendly to quarterbacks, in which we just saw Oklahoma has had a big problem with wide receivers going in the portal, right? They're returning one experienced wide receiver now. Unless they get Mike Matthews to go ahead and pull his name out of the portal. That's in negotiations. Just saw an article fly on that one. But I don't see... Statistically, he threw for 2,600 yards this season, 19 touchdowns, 5 picks. Again, my point and my argument is, on this schedule, I think maybe 2 quarterbacks I would take over Mateer, and only one of them hasn't got a lot of experience. But I actually think he's better than most people want to give him credit. I think Arch Manning would probably be a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah.
Especially in Sark's system. He's going to be really good in Sark's system.
I think so. So, I mean, you look at this, and I mean... Michigan's going to have a new quarterback. Auburn's got a new quarterback. Texas is going to have a new quarterback. South Carolina has Lenore Sellers, but he threw 300 yards twice. Ole Miss is going to have a new quarterback. Tennessee's going to have Nico. Does it look better next year? Because again, like you said, they've got some highly recruited kids, coming in as freshmen, and better hope one of them is going to be somebody big, because you lose Squirrel White and Mike Matthews as of right now. And I think does Thornton graduate, their other big wide receiver?
Thornton is the only one that's coming back so far.
Okay.
Based upon what I just saw from somebody that posted about he's the only one making a return right now.
But you got
which
Alabama.
Is crazy to me.
Yeah. Alabama and then Missouri. Both of those are going to have new quarterbacks. So it's going to be more of the same. And you're going to see a lot of this year in and year out. You either are going to be one of the better quarterbacks in your conference, or you're going to be on Portal Watch. And it's just kind of how it is now. Nobody wants to sit around. Nobody wants to wait. No, everybody wants to do this. And guess what? It's not over, it's not over a lot of money. But if you're sitting there, making $90,000, and you got a dude sitting right next to you who you feel like you're better than, and he's making more money because he came in through the transfer portal, that first call when someone reaches out and says, "Hey, what would $150 look like to you?" You're gonna have that conversation. You're gonna go and you're gonna get that. It's just human nature. So this next year is going to be another fun one, and to keeping this intact. I mean, we did beat the ever-living hell out of Alabama this year. That team. That doesn't tell me that that's how good we are. That tells me how good we are capable of being.
Yeah, it gives you your ceiling. Honestly, yes, I agree.
Now, if we would have gotten a nice little 50-10 put on us by Alabama, I think this conversation's completely different. But I mean,
Agreed.
You have anything resembling a competent offense, and you probably have 2 or 3 more wins this year. And so you don't have a long, everybody in here said it dead right. It couldn't get worse. The offense can't get worse. I mean, it literally could not get worse.
We should thought it could.
Well, I mean, next year, it's not like we would look at it and be like, this is going to be worse. So you take your steps up. I think that the defense is going to maybe need a little bit more time. I think we need another good, solid corner. Whether transfer portal or somebody stepping up and stepping in. But you're going to have a defense who's going to need maybe the offense to really carry them a little bit more earlier in the year as some of these newer players, start gelling together. Because as we're sitting here looking right now, Michigan's week 2. That's not Temple.
Right. And I'm trying to figure out who is Michigan's quarterback, because the biggest problem that they've had is they could not complete forward passes at all. Their biggest thing is being overly physical. And when we played a team that was trying to be super physical with us, we did well. So I'm looking at their depth chart. So you still got Davis Warren and Jaden Davis, but they just picked up somebody in the transfer portal, which we got to go through. We'll do a full breakdown of everybody, what their transfer portal players look like. I need to go pull the returning. I can't wait till Bill Conley does his returning starters and put together my old spreadsheet again I gave y'all before. That was fun. Because I'm kind of curious to see what that looks like for them, because if there's anything, I need to know who all they're going to be bringing back. I mean, they're losing a lot of defensive players. Top corner's gone. Will should be out. Will Johnson should be league bound. I think he's still graded as a first rounder, even though he's been hurt for like 3/4 of the season.
Yeah.
But I'm pulling up Michigan now real quick, and I'm looking. Quarterback. They did bring in a quarterback. They brought in Mikey Keene from Fresno State.
Oh,
so
that's
Mikey
right.
Keene's played. Yeah, he's played. I mean, Alex Orgy's out. He's gone. Another Jaden hit the portal, but Jaden Davis is still there. So Jaden Davis is going to probably be their new quarterback, if not Mikey Keene. So yeah, you've got a lot of, when you look at the teams that you're playing against, we've got a quarterback now. We got a quarterback that's proven. I think that's my point. We had hype with what we had with Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins, but they have not been able to develop into fruition the way we want to yet. But now we've got a quarterback that we have seen with our eyes and we've heard about, who has legendary moments, and who's developed, who knows the offense. Think Dylan Gabriel, but faster and stronger. You get that. And hell, look what Dylan Gabriel did at Oregon. Yeah, everybody's talking about, we should find a way to keep him. Believe me, they wanted to. So
I promise you, Jay, we've talked about this off camera several times. If Dylan Gabriel would have stayed here this year, he would be retiring from football, because he would have been planted early and often. And he's a concussion risk, right? I mean, he's had multiple concussions. And so I'm just saying, if you guys wanted Dylan Gabriel here, it'd have been the same thing. Because probably by mid,
I don't know. I think he would have gotten rid of the ball. Because the one thing that we know Dylan Gabriel's going to do is throw the ball. Like, physically just chunk it. I don't care if they catch it or not. It's going to hit somebody's leg. And I think that would have helped a lot more in this season if the ball was just thrown to a spot where a receiver can make an attempt. But I understand. I don't disagree with you on the fact that he may have got leveled a few times. But I would have prayed that it wouldn't have been that bad. So
yeah, me too. I mean, I would have loved Dylan Gabriel to still be here. In hindsight, this one looks like a really, really bad choice. But it wasn't on the table, so we can quit talking about that again.
Right. And I think it's funny. Super K says a QB doesn't even solve a quarter of the team's issues. That literally solves all of the issues. Literally solves every issue. Is a quarterback that will throw the ball. That's it. Like, what are we doing here? The defense was up there. The defense was really good this year. The offense was putting in the defense in bad spots. It literally solves the problem. Is a quarterback. Like, it's not that hard, but I digress. We'll see who shows up in next season. I love that Bevo's bodyguard is pointing out names of people that aren't going to actually be, one, on our schedule, or two, even be in the SEC. Because Van Buren's gone.
Yes. Being right's not important.
No, it's not.
But listen, we said at the beginning of the year,
and Van Buren's going to be behind Nussmeier. So that's the other thing, is he's not going to play this year. He ain't going to beat out Nussmeier. Nussmeier's going to get to keep that job. They're not going to take that man off of there. But yeah, anyway. All right, Coop. Last words before we bounce out?
Yeah, the season was not very fun. This was not fun for any of us. There was nothing enjoyable about it, but it's over. You can the bad man went away. He's not coming back. That is the football season 2024. And so again, we are going to go into next year feeling kind of the same thing we felt going into this year. We're going to have some good wide receivers. You're going to have some good running backs. The offensive line is going to be a question. What does that offensive line look like going into next year? Can it, so the offensive line, it still has a lot of ground to make up. You've got a lot of talent, and it's going to be young. And so, but does Mateer played behind a crap offensive line at Washington State? Dude was sacked 31 times. He knows how to play behind a bad offensive line, and he still put up those numbers because as a quarterback, if you do know how to get rid of the ball, like you said, you're going to have more opportunities. So here in a couple months, we're all going to be, wondering if there's a chance that we can win the SEC. Everybody will be back up into the hopium. But it's
be smoking.
You just want it competitive. Let's have next year. Let's just be competitive. It's you don't want to go into a game like the South Carolina game, and before the second commercial break, you're that there's no chance you're winning this game.
Right.
So that's what we want to see go away, is just having the feeling that one side of the ball is going to prevent you from winning.
Exactly. So, Stevie, good pointing that out. We won't talk about it, but the Sooner men's basketball is 13-0. The women are 12-1 now, or 11-1? I think women are 11-1. Men are 13-0. One or two. The women played today. So, shout out to both of them. We're out. Hit the like, new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars if you're listening. And we'll chop it up with all of you in the next week. We'll probably do a Q&A with you all on the 1st. I'm going to be around for New Year's Day. So if Coop is, we'll do that. All right. Catch y'all later. Peace.